change the slide. Today, we're going to be reviewing over the relationship between chronological events in a text. If I say, what does chronological order mean to you? Somebody raise your hand and tell me what you think chronological order means. Sometimes we use chronological order, sometimes we use the word sequencing, but what do those two terms mean, Cassidy?
Ordering.
Putting things in order, right? Does anybody have anything that they can add to that? Colt?
So like, if you're doing an essay, first paragraph, like first, then next, after.
Yes.
Finally.
Okay, he's using transitional words. That's first, second, then, next, later, finally. Okay, all those are transitional words, and we're going to talk about that here in just a minute. Everybody go ahead and get your reading folder out, reading composition book, glue stick, and pencil on your desk. Yes. A little better? Reading folder, composition book, glue stick, pencil. 4 things on your desk and 4 things only. Water bottles need to be on the ground. Everything else needs to be cleared off except for those 4 items. Just going over our learning goals for this specific unit today. I've got it bolded and underlined. We're explaining the relationship between chronological events in a text or a text structure, okay? We've talked about important and unimportant information. We've used our context clues. We've learned how to summarize and synthesize things. Now we're on chronological events in our units. Let's look at our standards for today. All of your standards are in red. So let's look at the learning goal. Use time-ordered words and phrases to explain the chronological relationships between events in a historical text. Write the chronological order of historical events to demonstrate understanding. Engage in collaborative discussions to share. So we're going to go review over what chronological order is, some words, transitional words that we can use to figure out how chronological order is put together, okay? And then at the end, I'm going to let you collaborate with your turn talk partner to be able to complete a worksheet over chronological order. Thumbs up, thumbs down, we good? All right, everybody wait? All right, good job. It says informational texts about historical events often are written in chronological or time order. Somebody raise your hand and tell me, how do we know they're written in order? When you're thinking of historical events, right? We've been talking about the Constitution of America over the last few days. How do we know they're written in chronological order? Blake?
Like, text and words, I think.
There's specific words that we're looking for. More specifically, though, what usually happens in a historical text? What are they telling us? Jada?
The date.
The dates, right? Anytime that we read historical events, anytime you go to Miss Shelby's class and you're in social studies class and she's going over the Revolutionary War, the Civil War, all these important events that happen, does she always tell you when it happens?
Yes.
Yes, right? That's just part of our history. That's how we know when things happen. And the important part and the easy part about chronological order when we're learning about history is that everything happened in certain order, okay? Go.
Can I go look at my book in my locker?
Yes, okay. All right, so it says, this organization, did you find it?
It's right.
Okay,
It
all
was
right.
stuck together to my other book. It was inside.
Good deal, good deal. This organization helps readers understand the chronological order of events and the relationships between events, okay? Something that happened in the 1700s is way different than something that happened today in 2021, correct? In chronological order, which one would happen first, 1700s or 2021? 1700s, right? That would come before 2021. Today, I'll model how focusing on text structure helps me understand the order of important events. Then you'll have an opportunity to do the same. No, I think that was just the watch a video real quick, and then I'm gonna give you a sheet of paper. Tyler, will you grab lights for me?
Hey, parents, over here.
Go grab the door for me, bud.
Let me show you why us kids love playing Prodigy Math Game. Next, Moby. It's
You can come on in. Very good. Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Bye.
Bye.
All right, here we go. We ready? Oh, sorry guys. Oh. Thank you for pointing that out. Here we go.
You should read this book next, Moby. It's called Superbot and the Art Thief. I love this book because the plot is really exciting. A plot is all the events that happen in a story. Events in a story occur in a certain order. What is sequence? Sequence is the order in which things happen or are described. Uh-oh. Somebody is up to no good. To hatch her latest plan, the evil Dr. M breaks into the art museum. Then, she steals the most famous painting in the world. Quick, turn on the signal. Meanwhile, a mild-mannered robot named Mobius T. Bot quietly eats his lunch. When he sees the signal, he springs into action. This looks like a job for Superbot. Superbot chases the evil Dr. M through the city. Next, he chases her through the park. After that, he chases her through the zoo. The evil Dr. M gets away, but Superbot doesn't give up easily. The evil Dr. M passes by a store. She just can't resist going inside. But it's a trap. Superbot saves the day. Finally, the painting is back in its rightful place. Transitions can tell you about the sequence of events.
This is what Colt was talking about earlier.
What are transitions? A transition is a word that connects ideas together. inferences about the sequence of events. When you infer, you use what you know or see to come up with an idea. As you read, use clues to make inferences about the sequence. After the evil Dr. M escaped, Superbot came up with a plan. Later, the evil Dr. M fell into his trap. I think Superbot's trap probably took a while to set up. So, I can infer that the second part of the story happens later. When I read, I picture what happens in my mind. It helps me understand and think about what I'm reading. I wonder what will happen in the next book. What do you think, Moby? Whoa! Moby?
All right, let's discuss for just a minute. She said that chronological order or sequencing is what? What does that mean? Somebody remind me. Somebody hasn't spoken yet today. Somebody raise your hand that hasn't spoken yet today. Valley.
Basically where it's like first, next, and then after,
Yes. And she specifically said on here that in our historical events, what do we need to go by? It doesn't typically usually say first, next, then, but we have to do what, Valley?
But we have to look at the dates.
We have to look at the dates to be able to do chronological order with historical events, okay? I've got a sheet for you to glue into your composition book, so go ahead and get your composition book out and turn to the next clean sheet of paper. Over the next several weeks, we're going to go over different text structures, including cause and effect, problem and solution, compare and contrasting. And then the specific one we're going to go over today is chronological order, so this is the one we're going to start with on our worksheet. This worksheet we will be referencing back to over the next few weeks though, so you need to make sure that it's glued into your composition book. That way when I say get your text structure sheet out, you know exactly where it is in your book, okay? It's glued in. Raise your hand and tell me what the purpose of chronological order is. Look at your worksheet there that I just gave you. What does it say? What is the purpose of chronological order? Read it to me, Jesse.
Tells the order in which events occur in a text.
Yeah, tells the order in which events occur in a text. Let's pause for a second. What does the word occur mean? Occur means what, Juliet?
Like it has 7.
Yes. When something occurs, that means that it's happening. Okay. So if you didn't remember what occur means, that's what it means. Okay. Tells the order in which events occur in a text, when it happens in a text. Okay. What are some of our clue words? What does it say? Owen, read it to me.
Wait, for which one?
From the chronological order.
First, next, then last.
First, next, then last, and they also put on here what?
Years
and
numbers.
Yeah, remember, a lot of historical pieces, we really go by years, right? And that's what we're going to be looking at today. Keep this in your composition book. We're going to be referencing back over it, okay? Over the next several weeks. I want us to look at page 4 in our reading book. So go ahead and get your reading book out and turn to page 4. Keep your composition book on your table. You'll need it here in just a little bit. Everybody on page 4. I want us to look paragraph 2 on page 4, and I would love it if somebody would raise their hand and volunteer to read that paragraph for me. Paragraph 2, Kalia, go for it.
How did this world-shaping document come to be? In 1787, James Madison and 56 other delegates or representatives held a series of meetings called the Constitutional Convention. Their goal was to reform the government created after the Revolutionary War. Madison had previously created the state constitution for Virginia. The delegates were interested in his ideas. Madison became the principal writer or framer of the Constitution.
Excellent. You know what stuck out to me as Kalia was reading this? The very first sentence is a question. And when we're reading a question out loud, what do we have to do to the end of the sentence? Make it do what?
Make it go up.
Make your voice go up. Did Kalia do that? Yes, cool. Very good, Kalia. She said, how did this world-shaking document come to be? That's a question. You've got to make your voice go up at the end, right? She did that perfectly. All right, let's look at this paragraph, okay? It says, sometimes dates as well as time order words or phrases such as at that time, after many years, in that era, and before long indicate chronologically, okay? Model how you use dates and time order words to find the chronological events. Let's look at this paragraph for just a second. I loved that in the video she said sometimes you have to use your inferencing skills to be able to know what happens first, next, and last, okay? There are 3 specific events in this one paragraph that we're gonna pull out, and they're not in order as we read, okay? We have to infer what comes first, second, and third, but we're gonna try to do that, okay? It says, in 1787, James Madison and 56 other delegates or representatives held a series of meetings called the Constitutional Convention. What is important about this sentence? What stands out to you about this sentence, JC?
It said in 1787.
Yeah, everybody take your pencil or your highlighter, whatever you have on your desk, pencil preferably, and circle in 1787. That is a date. That's probably going to be important, right? You know that it didn't happen yesterday in 2021. It happened in what year?
1787.
1787. In 1787, James Madison and 56 other delegates or representatives held a series of meetings called the Constitutional Convention. Their goal was to reform the government created after the Revolutionary War. Let's pause. Let's use some inferencing skills. Did the Revolutionary War happen before this Constitutional Convention started, Jesse?
Yes.
How do you know that?
Because it says after the Revolutionary War.
It used the transitional word after right here, right? So it says their goal was to reform the government created after the Revolutionary War, okay? Over here to the side, and you can do this in the column beside your paragraph, I'm going to write the number 1. And then I'm going to write out Revolutionary War. Jesse told us that the Revolutionary War came first. Because why? How do we know that it came first? Colt.
Because it says after the Revolutionary War.
After the Revolutionary War, then they did what? They went to what?
The Constitutional
They
Convention.
had the Constitutional Convention. Very good.
Wait, but didn't they remake? Because it says they remade.
They remade the Constitution
Yeah,
that was
they remade.
before the
Yeah, that's
Revolution.
what I was about to ask.
Yeah, that's what this whole thing is about.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's keep going. Madison had previously created the state constitution for Virginia. So let's pause for just a second. This is telling, remember, at this time, America wasn't like it was now, right? We were just forming. And James Madison had written a constitution for what state?
Virginia.
For Virginia, right? Hey, Dr. Collins. He had written a constitution for the state of Virginia, okay? So we can even put that down in our little chronological order. I'm gonna put 2 right here, put that out to your side. I'm gonna put Madison wrote the Virginia a good day. Constitution. Revolutionary War happened first, then Madison wrote the Virginia Constitution.
Wait, I thought that was before.
No, Madison had previously created state constitution for Virginia. Previously means what?
Before.
Before. You can even circle previously.
Wait, but I thought that was before the Revolutionary War when he wrote it when they were still colonies.
Madison had previously created the state constitution for Virginia. The delegates were interested in his ideas. Madison became the principal writer or framer of the Constitution. What do you think happened last? The Revolutionary War happened. Madison wrote the Virginia Constitution, and then what happened last? Kalia.
Madison became the principal writer or frame of the Constitution.
Yes. You can even put on there something about how the delegates liked his ideas, right? I'm going to do that. Delegates liked his ideas. And he became the writer of the U.S. Constitution. Make sure you have that written down. Revolutionary War happened first, then Madison wrote the Virginia Constitution, and then the delegates liked his ideas so much that they wanted him to become the writer of the U.S. Constitution. This is chronological order, right? This is chronological order, even though we had to infer some things. It didn't specifically tell us when the Revolutionary War was, right? We had to use our words and our brain to be able to figure out that that came first, right? And then Madison came in and wrote the Virginia Constitution. Everybody loved the Virginia Constitution. They thought it was the bomb.com. And so then they figured out, hey, we're going to offer this job to James Madison. He's going to write us the U.S. Constitution. And that's what he did, right? Thumbs up, thumbs down. We understand? All right. Oh, I'll give you a few minutes. Everybody have this? I'll give you one more minute. Everybody have it? Good? Alright, this is what we're going to be doing today. With our turn and talk partners. We're going to be applying what we have learned today. Okay, I want everybody to get out your, keep your reading book out, and we're going to reread paragraphs 4 and 5 in this story. I think they start on page 5. I want somebody to volunteer to read paragraph 4 for me and paragraph 5. Jada, I'm going to let you read paragraph 4. Juliet, you get paragraph 5, okay? Everybody needs to be following along. Where should your eyes be looking at right now? After. You should not be drawing. Pencils put down. Put your pencils down. Let's focus on what we're reading, okay? Go for it, Jada.
After months of debate and compromise, the delegates decided on a final document. They mostly followed Madison's Virginia plan and established a stronger federal government. To gain public support for the plan, Madison also helped his fellow framers, Alexander Hamilton and John Jay, write a series of newspaper articles called the Federalist Papers. These articles helped persuade readers to accept the new Constitution.
Very good. Let's pause for just a second. We learned this in a previous paragraph, but I want to see if somebody remembers. What does the word framer mean? says, to gain public support for the plan, Madison also helped his fellow framers, Alexander Hamilton and John Jay, write a series of newspaper articles called the Federalist Papers. Let's talk about what the word framers means for a second. You can do this to your paper too. What does framers mean? You learned this in a previous paragraph. JC, what do you think?
I think it means like the person that sets up or puts something together.
So people that create something, they do what?
They'll write it.
They write it out. Framers are another word we can use for writers. That's what we learned in a previous paragraph. So out to the side of framers, you might want to circle framers, and you might want to make an arrow and put writers out beside it. Okay? Everybody do that. That way we just remember what it is. It helps our brain. That's part of annotating. That'll.
Why at the end, the last word, why is it capitalized?
Because the Constitution, the American Constitution is an important article, it's an important piece, so it has to be capitalized. Alright, paragraph 5, who is my other one? Juliet, go for it.
Soon after, Madison helped draft the Bill of Rights. These are the first 10 amendments or additions to the Constitution. The Bill of Rights lists many key freedoms Americans enjoy to this day. These include freedom of the press and
Freedom of the press.
freedom of the press and free speech. For all his work on the document and its first 10 amendments, J. Madison has been called the father of the Constitution.
Yeah, let's practice key context clues for just a second. I want you to circle where it says amendments right here in the paragraph. And a few weeks ago we were talking about using our context clues. And context clues are what? When I say use your context clues, what am I asking you to do, Blake? Yeah, I'm using you to use text evidence. I'm asking you to use the words around the word that you're unsure about, right? If we didn't know, which we already do because that's one of our vocabulary words, but if we didn't know what the word amendments is that okay? Because why?
It says or additions.
Because it says or additions right here. So after you circle amendments, make your little arrow point to additions because that's a context clue. It specifically says amendments or additions, right? You can figure out what amendments means if you don't know what it means because they put a context clue right there in the paragraph. All right, very good. Okay, this is what we're going to do with our Turn and Talk partner. I want you to use these two paragraphs. Actually, I want you to use your whole story. But I'm going to give you a worksheet to complete with your Turn and Talk partner. And this worksheet is going to ask you to pull some signal words from the story. What is this? Somebody refresh my memory. What is a signal word, Colt?
It's something that makes you want to pay attention to.
Okay, like what would be an example of a chronological signal word?
Like say therefore, like if somebody is doing something and they don't know what it is, that you can say therefore.
Think about chronological order though.
Or no, then that's after.
Yes. So words like before, after, previously, those are all chronological signal words, okay? What else can be a signal word, specifically in a historical text? JC?
The date.
The dates can be a signal word, okay? What about words like at the time, or soon after, or previously? Are all of those signal words? It doesn't have to be straightforward, first, second, then last, right? Sometimes it's different words. Clea.
I need a word.
Oh, no, I'm giving that.
I didn't. You gave it to me.
All right, so this is what we're going to do. Everybody look at your worksheets. It gives you 5 places to pull signal words from your text, okay? We've read this text before. We just read paragraphs 4 and 5. There's some signal words in paragraphs 4 and 5, okay? When you find a signal word in the text, you're going to write out the sentence that it's in on your sheets, okay? So like this one right here, it says, number 1, signal word. You're going to write out the sentence that has the signal word in it, okay? You're going to pull 5 different sentences from our article that has a signal word in it with your Turn and Talk partner, okay? And then down at the bottom, it says this question has 2 parts. First answer part A, then part B. Part A, why did James Madison become the father of the Constitution? There's 4 different answers. I want you to have a very good conversation and discussion with your Turn and Talk partner. Remember, a lot of these questions down here show up where?
In our test.
On our test, right? So that's part A, and then part B. Which detail from the passage best supports the answer from part A? How do you know that this is the answer to this question? Based on what sentence over here, okay? It's going to be straightforward, those answers down at the bottom, okay? But I want you to have good discussions with your Turn and Talk partner about them. Are we good? You're pulling 5 sentences out of the article that have a signal word in it. It can be a date. It can be the word previously. It can be after, okay? Think about your signal words and then write the sentences down on your sheet of paper. When you get done with this, I do have a quick check worksheet for us to finish up at the end of class. So you can come to me after you get done with this, and then you can work on that independently. Sound good? I'm in here. Miss Deborah's in here. Use us if you have questions, okay? Go. Everybody good? Who sits in front of you? Work with Brittany and Juliet. Yep, work with them.